Scorpio. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for July of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julie Mijas in San Francisco.
Well, Scorpio, this month's themes are many and varied. You'll find the answers that you need in a natal and transit reading if this horoscope brings up some questions for you. And there's a link for that in the YouTube description below. Well, I want to start with a couple of asteroid goddesses, Ceres and Juno. Ceres is traveling along through the sign of Cancer right here and has been in your ninth house for the last month and a half or so. She usually spends about 2 months per house. And the great thing about having Ceres moving along through your ninth house is that she loves to be in this house. Ceres' themes are financial. She is about looking at your own self-worth, which underlies the value that you place yourself at, which underlies how you might ask for compensation on the job. It all comes down to self-worth. And in the ninth house, Ceres will encourage you to expand your beliefs about your deserving. And that's a really wonderful use of this transit. So if anybody has invited you to, a money workshop or an abundance workshop or giving you a book about how to manifest more money by changing your beliefs, this is a really great time to be doing that kind of stuff. So a wonderful thing is coming towards the end of Ceres' passage along your ninth house, which is that Ceres and the sun are going to form a conjunction on the 21st in what I like to call Financial Epiphany Day. This is the beginning and the end of Ceres' cycle. It's the time in her cycle when Ceres is moving the fastest. And when the sun comes along and illuminates Ceres, then you can get great clarity and take powerful actions regarding your finances. So this is a really good time to set a new budget, to make financial plans, to look at, what you're doing with your money and your investments and so forth, and all of those things that have to do with Ceres. Additionally, because Ceres is about being a good steward of your physical body, this is a really good transit also for epiphanies and insights around your physical health and the routines that you do to keep yourself in good shape. I'm not talking about exercise. I'm talking about like how you eat, how you manage your diet, how you, take care of your body through things like, washing and dressing and grooming and clothing and housing and those sorts of things. So this is a really great transit for new beginnings around those kinds of things. Now, pretty shortly after that, on July 23rd, Ceres moves into Leo. And I want to warn you about this, not because Ceres in Leo is bad, but because Ceres in Leo can have a love of luxury. And so having just made that beautiful new budget and expanded your beliefs around what you deserve and all these wonderful things that you may have done while Ceres was in Cancer, when Ceres moves into Leo, you may find that your expanded beliefs might allow you to have some expanded spending, and that spending might be money that you don't actually have yet. So this is definitely a don't count the chickens before they're hatched kind of a transit, because you might feel very drawn to high ticket items that aren't going to really bring as much benefit to your life as you would hope that they would. So buyer beware. Then the other transit I want to tell you about is Juno, which is traveling along through Pisces right now. And fairly in the middle of the month, around the 24th, you're going to see that a little red RX will appear next to Juno, showing that Juno goes retrograde. And right there it is. There she is, retrograde. And Juno is, of course, the asteroid goddess to do with committed relationships and marriage. Marriage being the personal side of committed relationships, and business partnerships are also covered by Juno. So committed relationships really of all stripes. And when Juno goes retrograde, we enter into a relationship retrospection period, which lasts for a couple of months until October. And during this time, we're all going to find ourselves looking more deeply at our relationships and asking ourselves, what is the deep underlying meaning underneath this relationship? And is it fulfilling its deeper spiritual purpose? And so we'll be asking ourselves those things and putting our relationships through that litmus test, and doing so until October. For you, this lands in the fifth house. The fifth house is a house of fun, of play, and the form of relationship that really matters in the fifth house is love affairs, light, fun, playful relationships. So if you have been dating, you might find that during this relationship retrospection period, you're asking yourself, could this playmate become an actual mate? And you might be putting, the relationship, the light dating relationship, through that litmus test to see whether it might actually be a lasting thing. And also, the other thing I want to mention about Juno retrograde in your fifth house is that you may be asking yourself, am I and my spouse having enough fun? Do we, take enough vacations? Do we take enough pleasure trips? Do we enjoy each other's company? Is my spouse a good playmate for me? And what can we do to bring more fun into this relationship? So that may really be up for you during Juno's retrograde passage. And you could find out a lot more about Juno retrograde in the video that we made about it on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, and also on our website, pandoraastrology.com. So Julia, I want to toss the ball to you because I know you've got news about Mercury, Mars, and Venus for the Scorpios of the world.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, hey there, Scorpio. I'll say a few things about Mars first, because Mars is the planet of action and activity, and Mars can be a little bit trickier than the other planets I usually talk about, Mercury and Venus, because Mars is also associated with conflict. So it's kind of traditionally known as a malefic planet, but Mars really does have a higher side and a more constructive side too. So I will always put that in, talk about Mars in that context as well. So for the first few days of the month, Mars starts in your sixth house, and this is a work house. It represents your job. It's also a health house too. And if you really want to hear about this transit in a lot more depth, you should totally check out our last month's video where I covered that more fully. But for the first few days of the month with Mars in the sixth, this might be a time of not necessarily seeing eye to eye with your coworkers or anybody else that you work with. And Mars in the sixth can have kind of a reputation for bringing up chronic conditions as well. So if you have any conditions that you're dealing with, many of us often are, Mars in the sixth can sometimes bring them up a little bit, such as inflammation or migraines. Then on July 4th, Mars goes into your seventh house of relationship. So Mars in the seventh represents your partner. So Mars in the seventh can be a time of, again, not necessarily seeing eye to eye with your long-term relationship partner. Maybe you guys are getting on each other's nerves. Maybe you guys are just kind of having more disagreements than usual. Now, Mars in the seventh can be a really great time for getting active with a partner in some way. Like, for example, if you guys, this would be a good month to go through your to-do list with a partner and get very physical, whether if you guys have to make some repairs on your home, if you guys want to paint a room together. Mars in the seventh can also be a great time to do a physical workout with your partner too, like go jogging with them, invite them over to the gym. And if you get out all of that Marsy energy through some type of physical outlet, I think it's going to be a lot less likely that you guys are going to pick on each other later. Now, I'll talk about Mercury. Mercury, it's definitely a bit easier to deal with than Mars. It's the planet that represents your mind. So wherever we have it, we can tend to be very preoccupied mentally. And for the first few days of the month, Mercury starts in your 8th house. This is a house of investigation and research. And just like Mars, I really covered Mercury in the 8th in a lot more depth than last month's video. But it could have been, recently you may have been going through a time where you've been your mind has been very probing, wanting to dig down to the bottom of some mystery. It may have been a time where you were doing a lot of research or even investigation. Then on July 4th, Mercury goes into your 9th house. And Mercury in the 9th, Mercury is a travel planet. The 9th house represents, far distance travel as well. So this could be a time where your mind is really on some faraway places. Maybe you get the chance to go on a trip this summer, or maybe you're thinking and planning out your next trip too. And Mercury and the 9th have a lot of other crossovers too together. They both can represent learning in different ways. So this is a time where you really might want to learn something new. Maybe you're starting a new language that you're learning. Maybe you're thinking about going to school. Should I apply? Maybe I should get my references together. And then on July 16th, that's a very important day to keep track of, because that's when Mercury will be exactly conjoined the sun, and we call that Greater Epiphany Day. It's a time of clarifications and insights into wherever Mercury is in your chart. So around July 16th, you might get some aha moments. You might get some deep insights into 9th house matters in your life. Maybe you're getting an insight into some legal dispute that you're involved with, because those are also ruled by the 9th. Or maybe you're getting some insight into your higher education. What is the next thing you need to learn to expand yourself as an individual? Because that's what the 9th house is all about. And then I saved the best for last, and that's the planet Venus. Everybody loves her because she represents love herself. She's also the planet of beauty, and wherever we have her, we can get a little luck, and we can also find pleasure. So Venus starts the month in your 8th house. Mercury's in there for the first few days too. So this can be a time of, the 8th house being a financial house. It's also a house of, it can also represent your own sort of mortality too. This could be a time where you're sort of thinking ahead and maybe trying to do some things, maybe getting a little bit of luck in kind of organizing your finances in a way to think about, well, when I pass away, how do I leave my estate to somebody else? Venus in the 8th can also be a wonderful time for merging more deeply with your partner. Perhaps even financially too. So that can be a time of maybe pooling your resources more closely together, or just greater physical intimacy. The 8th house is kind of a kinky place. So Venus in the 8th really might be a lot more sexually activated too. Then on July 17th, Venus enters the 9th house, where she's also going to be joining Mercury. And this again is going to add a little bit of luck and pleasure to all 9th house things. If you are going on a vacation this month, you could also, if you're single, find a holiday romance with Venus in the 9th. Venus in the 9th is also a time when, for the people who are in school or engaged in any kind of higher education, whether you're taking workshops or online classes, you might be getting along very, very well with the people you're learning with. This is a total teacher's pet transit too. So if you are in school or you're working with any kind of teacher, you might be getting along well and maybe could ask for some favors with them. And Venus in the 9th, if you have a partner, then this is a time where you guys might really want to grow together. You want to do something beyond the mundane and everyday and ordinary, whether that's take a little pleasure trip or learn something new together, or even go on a fun adventure.
Well, I want to tell you about the moons this month, beginning with the July 13th full moon in Capricorn, which lands in your house of communication right here, the 3rd house. So you'll probably feel this moon in the conversations that you have, in the research that you do, in the ideas that you're processing, and any learning that you're doing. But it might be, you might have some sensitive feelings about your communication. And you might feel like you should structure your communication a little bit better. And that would be because Chiron forms a square to this full moon. We're calling this one healing with lots of help. And the healing part is Chiron's part. Chiron is traveling along your sixth house. And Chiron is the wounded healer. And so it does tend to bring up old wounds to the surface so that they can be healed. And sometimes Chiron, does that by poking at the owies a little bit. Chiron in Aries in particular sometimes likes to just, point straight to where that wound actually is. And so it wouldn't be surprising if under this full moon, you have an encounter with somebody at work who pokes you and sort of, what I want to say, like accuses you of bad communication, just makes you rethink how you said that, how you communicated that, and to think whether maybe you should have structured your thoughts differently. So watch out for that during this full moon. However, there is a lot of help and a lot of harmony in this moon too, particularly with Neptune, Juno, and Uranus. And they're providing a lot of help and support so that even if somebody does, send you an owie, if we want to call it that, in your communicative connections, there is every reason to think that you can learn from it and improve your communication in the future because of it. We said a lot more about this moon in the video about it in the July news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. So definitely check that out. Then the next thing I want to tell you about is the seasonal change. We start out, of course, with the sun traveling along through Cancer, and then it moves into Leo right about here, July 23rd or so. And so this is a seasonal change when the sun moves on into a new season, a new sign, Leo in this case. Then we experience a shift in where we should put our attention. Sunlight is like a metaphor for attention. It brings life and vitality. It lets things grow. So wherever the sun goes in your zodiac wheel, that is a really good arena to bring the spotlight of your high quality attention. And in this case, the sun is moving on into the 10th house, which is the domain of career. It's the domain of authority and of excellence. So putting some high quality attention on how you can achieve, attain, and receive accolades and be more visible and take on perhaps more leadership in your workplace and be in the practice of excellence. These are really, really good places to put your attention while the sun is in Leo. And then we come to the new moon towards the end of the month, happening on July 28th. This is the new moon in Leo, and it falls also into your 10th house. New moons are great times for planting seeds. They are the beginning and finish of the moon cycle. And so there is a lot of emotional freshness that happens here, and you may find that you're in the mood to begin something. Most particularly because this lands in your 10th house, you might be in the mood to begin something in your career. So planting seeds in your career is a really, really good thing to do under this moon on July 28th. And especially so because of the way this moon trines Jupiter, Lord of growth and expansion, which is why we're calling this moon Seeds of Creativity Can Expand Endlessly. So what that means is any seeds that you plant in your career, most particularly seeds of creativity, seeds that will lead to the growth of any creative projects that you want to be doing, or the growth of your personal brand. They're just going to make you look good. Those kinds of things. Plant those seeds, and there's lots of room for them to expand with the help of Jupiter under this moon. Well, there you have it, Scorpio. Hope you enjoyed this video that we made for you with love. You will find it on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the horoscopes tab, along with your other horoscope. If this is your sun sign, definitely look up your rising sign, because that one will work much better. And on our website, you can also get readings, take classes, and check out the news of the month on the monthly forecast page. Until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.